The last piece that we're going to add to the graphing is solving. Now, as you can see, our inequality that we have here is a little bit more complicated than the previous one. So we're going to go ahead and use our skills. And if you bring back the good old golden rule of algebra, we're going to use that to isolate the variable. So I'm going to start off by taking and writing my inequality. So I've got 16 is less than 6 minus 2r. And I know that I want to get this r all by itself. So I want to get rid of this 6, and it's positive 6, so I'm going to subtract 6. Remember, it's not minus 6, it's plus 6, so we're going to subtract. So then I get 10 is still greater than negative 2r because that minus sticks with the 2. So I'm going to rewrite that over here, and I get 10 minus negative 2r. And one thing I do want to remind you of in step 2 is to be sure that if you have a multiplying or dividing by a negative to solve it, make sure you flip that inequality sign. So as you can see here, we need to divide by negative 2. And as you can see, dividing by a negative, that's one of our rules. We're going to flip that sign. 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So negative 5 is less than r. So now we need to graph this. And if you look here, I'm going to put my negative 5 in the middle. And it's going to be just like our last graph with the numbering. And like I said, I'm only numbering every other one since I'm writing bigger, so that makes sure it fits. I see that when I look here, this is just a straight up less than. So I'm going to make an open circle. And then when I look to graph it, I am seeing here that negative 5 is less than r, which means that r is greater than negative 5. So if I test a number, I'm going to pick 0. 0 is right here. And if I put that in, negative 5 is less than 0. So that means that I know that I'm going to shade to the right on my graph. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next example that I have for you. We have here that we're going to solve and graph negative 37 is greater than or equal to 4g plus 3. So let's start off here. I'm going to subtract 3. And this gives me negative 40 is greater than or equal to 4g. And then I'm going to divide by 4. Now here's where it gets tricky. A lot of you see this negative right here and say, ooh, I got to flip the sign. Here we're not going to flip the sign because we're looking at the symbol of what we're dividing by. And the 4 is positive. And because the 4 is positive, we're not going to flip the sign, which means we're going to end up with negative 10 is greater than or equal to g. Now the greatest part about this, if we go back quick to this one, we want to check to make sure it works. I can pick a value like 0 and I can put it in for r and say, well, 2 times r is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. 6 is less than 16, so I know I shaded in the right way. And if I hadn't flipped the sign, I would have gotten that the other way and said, well, negative 6 and negative 2 times negative 6 is 12. 6 plus 12 is 18. That is not less than 16. So it is very critical that you check. So if I see here that I've got negative 10, so I'm going to put negative 10 in the middle. Then I've got negative 8, negative 6, negative 4, negative 12, negative 14, negative 16. And like I said, I'm just numbering the number line. I see here that I've got a greater than or equal to, I've got that water supply, so I'm going to fill in the circle here. And when I go to check to see which way I should highlight, I see here negative 10 is greater than or equal to g. And so if I test my point, I'm going to try let's go with negative 15. And I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to check it in 2 places. So I see negative 15. Negative 10 is greater than or equal to negative 15, so I think I'm right. And then I can also check it back in my original equation, in that if I put it in here, I would have negative 37 greater than or equal to 4 times negative 15 plus 3. 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. Negative 60 plus 3 is negative 57. Negative 37 is greater than or equal to that, so we know we shaded correctly. And then the last piece for you is to solve and graph these two you tried problems, and then go ahead and bring those to class tomorrow.